Energy use is most important when you're talking about giving versus having your energy taken. Okay, now a lot of people think that when somebody asks, they have to give. And that's the positive path. Well, let me tell you, there are some times when it's not the positive path. There are times when people want something and they don't necessarily need it. Okay, they're telling you that they have to have something. Okay, now you have to use wisdom to see if you support that consciousness. Okay, and that can be everything from just needing emotional support to needing monetary support. Okay, is it in their best interest, and is it the best lesson and use of your energy to do that? You have to, again, with wisdom and knowledge comes a responsibility in how you use it. So, is it better, does a person learn more by you helping them, or more by you not helping them, or more by you supporting them in a conscious way than in necessarily the way that they want you to? Okay, you can get trapped on this one, for sure. And most people have been trained that when somebody asks for help, and they're using, of course, they're using a poor me, which we don't have up there anymore, and they're, begging and telling you that their life's going to go in the toilet if you don't help them, you still have to decide if it's in their best interest to grow by helping them, and also is it the best use of your energy. Now, that's not being selfish, that's being wise. Okay, that's not service to self, that's really service to others. When you're helping them at the level that they need help at, and not just the level that they're asking at. Because most people are asking at levels which are not helpful to their growth. They're out of fear, out of anxiety, out of all sorts of levels of control, and they're using that through a poor me to get somebody else to take care of them. There's people in this room who probably know that they've experienced that with me. They've asked for something and I may not have exactly given it the way they thought. Okay? Because I can see when it's time for me to participate and when it's not. There are certain things that people have to go through on their own. Okay? Well, obviously, learning from experiences, honor, respect, intuition. Intuition is one of the greatest challenges of learning from your experiences, and I think we go through that a little bit further. Learning to trust that you are taken care of many levels through growth. See, release, in order to, again, you're walking into the unknown to live on this path, considering that this is the known for most people, or somewhere in here maybe. Release, true release, means a knowing, an internal knowing that everything is going to work out. Okay, and that trust and that belief comes from experience. I can't ingrain that into you. So in order to reach the highest levels of release, you have to learn how that this does work, and then so that you'll take baby steps. You'll say, okay, yeah, it worked. Okay, and then you take another one. And it'll take a while to get to a level of full release so that you don't worry about anything and you just live a life on this side and everything works out. I mean, it sounds fanciful, doesn't it? Sounds amazing. And it happens. It can happen. Anybody can do it. If you are able to maintain this energy. Separation of emotions and intuition. One of the reasons people can't rely on their intuition and don't rely on their intuition is because they have too much of this stuff blocking it. This is where the emotion comes in. So you have a choice that comes up and you feel like you're supposed to do something. If you have any fear, anxiety, any desire for a specific result, then you're using emotion. Okay, intuitive is clear. I mean, you have no desired outcome when you have an intuitive moment. It's just what you feel you should do. Okay? If you have an agenda by doing it, then you have to ask yourself, I mean, is this really intuition? Or do I have an emotional thing going on here? This is a challenging one. It took me, I'm still working on it. Don't let me get you wrong. That's a good one. Because you have to clear out a lot of stuff to have clear intuition. And if we could all operate on that level, then everything becomes easier. You'll have an idea of how things are going to turn out. You'll make choices based on that. You have a feeling, whatever it is, a sense, that you're supposed to do something. It's in your best interest to do it. You won't understand why, but you'll do it anyway. I mean, that's true intuition, especially when you don't have any idea how it's going to come out and you just have this feeling that you're supposed to do something. And you do it, and then you go, oh, now I understand why I did that. Okay, that's true intuition. Not very many people can follow that 100%. Okay, emotions, and don't get me wrong, emotions aren't bad. Emotions can be healing. Obviously, crying and joy are two positive emotions. Obviously, crying, though, is important to know that if you're crying, why are you crying? I mean, a lot of people will go to a funeral and cry. And, you know, you ask them, why are you crying? And they're like, oh, it's so terrible that that person is gone. And they don't realize that crying has to do with what's going on inside of you. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's how you feel. Maybe you didn't tell them what you wanted to tell them before they left. Maybe you had loss in the past that you never healed over, so any form of loss triggers you. Okay, you cry in a movie. Maybe you cry when the hero saves the day. Maybe you want to be that kind of hero. Maybe you cry because of lost love. Maybe you haven't experienced that love, or maybe you've lost it yourself. So it's important to recognize that crying is healing if you have an understanding. And not just crying by itself. You're just crying and you don't understand it. You know, you might just, well, you're going to do it the next day, because until you get it, you're going to just keep crying. So what I've found is over time, I've cried less. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I just have less things to heal. But I still cry. Movies are great. Okay, so it helps if you understand what provoked the emotions. So again, you can look back and find out what things might have triggered you to do that. What gives you joy? Jokes and accomplishment. Okay, well, joy is a great emotion. Unfortunately, we often find joy or laughter in things that aren't necessarily positive. I mean, there are very few jokes that I've ever heard that are positive, personally. I don't know about the rest of you, but they're disrespectful to somebody or something down the road. And, you know, you know, certainly from where I was before, I might have laughed at him, but today I hear him, I'm like, you know, that's just wrong. You know, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing in the world that's wrong, but that's my expression is, you know, there's something wrong with that joke. It's not funny. Again, you don't have to judge the person that said it. That's their consciousness. You just have to deal with your side of it. Okay. Without understanding, emotions can become consuming and destructive, and it moves you into chaos. Okay? So there's a lot of emotions that are based on fear, stress, arguing. Okay, if you get emotions based on these, then they're pulling you towards the negative side and into chaos. So it's important to recognize when you have emotions where they're being triggered from. Okay, negative emotions help you become out of center, help make poor decisions, manifest negative. And let me tell you, my experience is anytime you have emotions that are pulling you this way, you're going to make the wrong choice. And that's another thing to look at. If you have fear and you're about ready to make a choice, I would wait until you're in a better state over here before you make that choice. Okay, and here's an example for driving. I don't know why it's driving. I know lots of people who have gotten tickets, accidents, all sorts of issues with cars when they're in one of these states, because they think they're over here and they're trying to maintain over here, but, you know, breaking up with girlfriends, all of a sudden speeding, getting a ticket. Okay, well, those are emotions that have caused somebody to make bad choices. Being angry, going for a drive, hitting someone else, you know, getting a flat tire, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, you can manifest pretty quickly if you're in an environment, especially that's moving quickly. So you have to make sure your consciousness is clear if you're in a situation where you have heavy vehicles or anything else that can hurt you.